One wrong move, 1 second too late, and everything you thought was safe explodes into fire, bullets, and betrayal. In a world where every shadow hides a threat, can two survivors outsmart a ruthless empire before it's too late? In the dead of night, fire crackled, shadows moved, and survival wasn't guaranteed. Two people, a stolen secret, and a relentless enemy. Every step, every breath could be their last. This is a story of courage, betrayal, and the fight for truth that refuses to be buried. The fire crackled louder, smoke curling into the sky like a warning. Outside, the men hesitated, circling the perimeter, waiting. Miles reloaded, his eyes scanning the ridge. "They're waiting for backup," he muttered. Charlotte pressed herself against the tower, clutching her revolver, heart pounding like a drum in her chest. "So we hold?" she asked. "Same way we've done everything else," he said. The faint hum of rotors grew louder, slicing through the tension. "You hear that?" Miles asked. The firelight flickered across their faces, shadows dancing with hope. "That's our ride," Charlotte said. "If not, well, it would be a hell of a last song." The dark outline of the helicopter emerged over the ridge, Boone barking at the noise, tail low, ears back. The aircraft landed 50 yards from the tower. Doors slid open, and two agents crouched low, waving for them to run. Miles shouted, "Go!" Charlotte hesitated only a moment before sprinting, Boone limping at her side. Bullets tore through the dirt around her feet, but Miles returned fire, covering her until she reached the agents. "Get in!" one yelled. Miles dove for the helicopter, a round grazing his shoulder before strong hands pulled him inside. "Where's the chip?" the agent demanded. Charlotte held up the flash drive. "Right here," she said. They were safe, or at least for now. Miles leaned out, scanning the forest. The remaining gunmen weren't retreating, they were regrouping. "They'll follow. They can't shoot down federal aircraft, but they'll try," he muttered. Gunfire cracked behind them, alarms blaring, the helicopter jolting violently. When she came to, Charlotte found herself half buried in twisted metal. The helicopter lay on its side, smoke curling from the wreckage. Boone whimpered under a piece of fuselage. Miles groaned from the other side, alive but bleeding. Pain stabbed through her ribs as she crawled toward him. "You okay?" he rasped. "I think so," she whispered. "Others? Doesn't matter. We need to move." Boone limped to his feet, tail thumping weakly. They made their way into the woods, the smoke from the crash drawing attention. Every twig snap felt like thunder. A clearing appeared, and an old farmhouse stood ahead. Miles suggested resting for 5 minutes. Inside, the air smelled of mold and age. A quilt still hung on a chair, a jar of preserves half full on the counter. Charlotte pressed a towel against his shoulder. "You're losing too much blood," she said. "Stop saying that," he muttered. "Fine," she conceded. "But you can't keep going like this," she said. "I've had worse," he replied. They moved cautiously, aware of every sound. Voices and engines drew near. Boone's low growl vibrated against the ground. Finally, they reached the safety of a distant barn. Miles checked the doors, barricading the windows, and eyed the old fuel drums. "Diesel again," he said, hinting at a plan. Charlotte's hands trembled as she helped siphon the fuel. "What if we don't make it?" she asked. "Then make it count," he said. Victor Hale's voice echoed outside, confident, unrelenting. Miles smirked. "The world notices when you make it bleed," he said. He handed Charlotte his lighter, instructing her to light it when the time came. The barn doors shattered inward, flashbangs rolling across the floor. Chaos erupted. Bullets, smoke, shouts all collided in a violent symphony. Miles fired at the intruders, Boone lunging with teeth bared. Charlotte's hands shook, but she pulled the trigger, each shot purposeful. Victor stepped into the light, his suit torn and charred, eyes blazing with arrogance. "You think fire can stop me, Carter?" he sneered. Miles didn't flinch. Fuel sprayed across the floor, and Charlotte flicked the lighter. Fire roared to life, swallowing the barn instantly. Heat and smoke disoriented, but the duo tumbled out through the rear exit, dirt and ash coating them. Boone barked frantically. Miles checked the flames. "If he's lucky, he's ash. If not, trapped," he said. Sirens sounded faintly in the distance. Miles helped Charlotte to her feet, limping through the night. "We've got what we need. Let them find the mess," he said. They moved cautiously along dirt roads, Boone limping alongside, breaths short, eyes alert. "You need a hospital," she said. "Not an option. Hospitals within 50 miles will be crawling with Victor's men. First, we find Clay," Miles replied. An abandoned church appeared, St. Bridget's Sanctuary. They entered cautiously. Dust, broken pews, cracked altars. Miles placed Boone down gently, slumping against the wall. Charlotte found water, giving him a sip. "You'd make a hell of a medic," he said faintly. "You'd make a terrible patient," she countered. They sat in quiet, the morning light filtering through stained glass. Charlotte spoke softly. "You fight like you're protecting something that matters." "I am," he replied. "You?" The crunch of boots outside snapped them to attention. A black SUV rolled to a stop. Men with weapons stepped out. Miles positioned Charlotte behind a pew. "Aim for the legs. Stay down," he instructed. Boone remained tense but obedient. Shots rang out. Men fell. Victor's voice echoed through the church. He entered, suit charred, fury in his gaze. "You think fire can stop me, Carter?" Miles stepped forward, rifle ready. "I wasn't trying to stop you. Just wanted to make sure you burned a little first." Charlotte stepped forward, voice trembling but firm. "You won't own it for long. Copies were sent before the crash." Victor's eyes narrowed. "Liar," he hissed, raising a gun. Miles dove, taking the shot meant for Charlotte. She fired back, hitting Victor. Boone bit Victor's arm, disarming him. Charlotte aimed, voice cold. "This is for every life you destroyed." The bullet struck clean. Victor fell against the altar. Silence followed, broken only by Boone's heavy breathing and wind through shattered windows. Charlotte pressed her hands to Miles's wound. "Stay with me," she whispered. He smiled faintly, eyes fluttering open. Sirens wailed closer. FBI agents swarmed the church, securing Victor's body. Medics rushed Miles to an ambulance. Charlotte held his hand until the doors shut. Boone nudged against them, protective and weary. Hours later, Charlotte sat in a sterile hospital room, Boone at her feet. A doctor approached. He made it through surgery. Bullet fractured a rib, grazed his lung. Stable, but recovery won't be easy. Relief washed over her. She followed him to the ICU. Miles lay pale, connected to monitors and tubes. She brushed her fingers over his bandaged hand. "You just had to play the hero," she whispered. "Not anymore," he murmured. "Good, because it's not over yet." Hale's network still loomed, but together they were ready. Charlotte's testimony, combined with the files, would dismantle the empire. Agents briefed her, and she realized the gravity. Justice was coming. The news erupted in headlines: corruption, cover-ups, secret empires. Miles watched from his hospital bed, exhaustion and pride mingling. Charlotte returned, holding coffee. "They believed me. They believed us," she said softly. Weeks passed. Miles walked again, slowly. Charlotte visited every morning, silent or with coffee, anchoring him to the world. Headlines faded, but the scars remained. They were symbols, survivors, heroes, yet profoundly human. Whitmore Energy's board collapsed, assets frozen, investors scrambled. They can rebuild something honest, Miles said. That's the plan, Charlotte replied. Together, they found peace. Small gestures, a hand held, coffee shared, reminded them of what truly mattered. Boone barked once, sealing the moment. Outside, city lights flickered to life, defiant against darkness. Justice had come, imperfect, real, and unrelenting. And for the first time in years, Miles Carter allowed himself to breathe. The flames died down, the echoes of gunfire faded, but justice had been ignited. Scarred, exhausted, but unbroken, they walked into the uncertain dawn, knowing the fight wasn't over, but for the first time, hope was on their side.